good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. Um, just a little house items. Welcome to the Accra Azure and .NET user group meetup. This is a reboot of our monthly meetup, kindly hosted today by Isaiah Clifford Opoku, with guest organizers, myself, Frank, and Weiss also on. For those who are new to this is not the first time we're doing it. We used to meet in person once a month at the former NIT Ring Road before COVID hit. And after COVID hit, things, took a little, it destabilized us a bit. And we literally stopped having the in-person meetings. And for some time now, we've been trying to reboot it or kick it back up, with a series of virtual events that will lead to an in-person event pretty soon. So this is our way of gradually rebooting and getting back into the vibe of hosting a meetup once every month or even in different cadence. This is the regular monthly meetup, but in between the months, there are different series. I know Clifford has a YouTube channel. I myself, I also stream. Actually, yesterday, I did part two of a similar thing I'm come to share with you today. So if that's interest to you, at the end of the slide, you see my YouTube channel, you can subscribe. And then anytime I go live on Fridays, you can see the content that I share. So thank you so much, the organizing team, for rebooting and getting this started. I just hope that we would be able to get a lot more people onto it, especially because I see that in the group we are more than 100. So we should at least this, like we said earlier on, this is just a reboot to try to get things going again. So hopefully in the next one we'll get a lot of people. So today I'm going to be talking about the Microsoft AI Studio. Yesterday, if you happen to join my show, you saw I shared a lot of stuff about the AI Studio and also shared an interactive example where I had a conversation with ChatGPT, where he was my sidekick for the show and shared some things with the audience who are on the show. So you can check that out on the channel. However, we can underestimate the power of AI. And I want to emphasize that there are a lot of things going around, especially when it has to do with AI and being developers. Today, almost every application we use, one way or the other, leverages AI in some sense. And you can't afford to miss out on that opportunity to also infuse it. Tooling for AI has not been that easy. Gone were the times where you practically would have to do a lot of data science, some R, plenty Python, a lot of things, even to understand how to integrate it. But today, what I'm going to share with you would open you up. I'm going to give you, an eagle's eye view of the whole platform. And then subsequently, if you follow us in our series, you can understand it better and, and get to do it. So let's get right into it. So, quick introduction here. So, my name is Samal Adrani. I am a Microsoft MVP on the Azure ecosystem. So, for Azure IoT and then generally Microsoft Azure. I've been running for about 4 years now, awaiting our fifth award. I'm also a Microsoft MVP, MCT. Certified trainer for those who don't know what that is, and also an Oracle professional. Currently, I'm a senior software engineer at Mecoma, where I consult primarily on a lot of R&D and Power Platform integration into CRMs and stuff like that. And also the CTO for my own little startup, Afrologic Solutions. I am an IoT AI cloud enthusiast. You see me do crazy things if I'm not doing my everyday work. I'm a community lead, just like Frank, Wise, and Isaiah. Like I mentioned earlier, I try to stream 3 times a week, which is Tuesday on IoT, uh, everything technology, but the focus for this season is AI on my Friday show. And then on Sundays, I do stuff on Power Platform. So RPA, Power Automate, and all the cool stuff. And yeah, from time to time, I have a podcast that I record, just to get things in, there, here and there. So yeah, pretty much busy man. So today's agenda quite simple. Just give you a quick, overview of what the AI studio is. I think I've laid bare the story of what AI is. We'll take a look at some. We'll quickly look at the overview use cases. I'm being very let's see with the time, just because I know that I have at least about probably 30 minutes to do this. So I'll transition between my slides and try to get the slides out there to do some demos. So we'll be talking about, the whole AI, you overview of it, some use cases, capabilities. We'll talk briefly about some security stuff, and then I'll jump into demos. And at the end of the day, I'll share some resources for you to take a look at. So quickly, what is the AI Studio? Well, the Microsoft AI Studio, simply put, is like a unified platform for developing and deploying generative AI, responsibly. And that's the key word, right? The key word here is trusted platform, right? Safe, secure, and responsible way. Now, the fact that AI is doing a lot of things doesn't mean that we need to apply it in ways that do not meet responsible AI use cases. It's true. Every technology has got, good ways of using it, and obviously some terrible ways people are using it. But one of the goals of Microsoft and its AI ecosystem is that we enforce that you practice or use AI in a very responsive manner, right? So ensuring that the platform is giving you is not only safe, it's also secure, and also make sure that you are using it responsibly. One of the questions that came up yesterday on my stream was a question that if I use my own, how do you call it, data on top of AI to ground it, does it, um, does it add that to the public data set, right? And that is one of the advantages of using the Microsoft AI Studio and Microsoft AI services in general. It will ground it on your data, but will not share that, with other third parties. So that is what the AI Studio is. And so key things here that you need to, get some of the stuff that you can work with in terms of the variety that the AI Studio provides you. So, API and model choices. Now, AI Studio allows you to build your assistive AI, generative AI, or Copilot in a way that you can pick any service or module that works for you. So it sits on top of the Microsoft Azure AI services, the Microsoft Azure Open AI services. There's a whole model catalog, right, that you can leverage. Browse a lot of the model catalogs, whether you want to use managed compute, serverless API, and also they have some benchmarks that you can compare the various model performance before you infuse that into your AI. Now, why am I talking about this model catalog? Now, starting or building an AI enabled system would have been very difficult without modules, right? You might probably have had large language models or small language models like what Microsoft just released recently after at Build 5. Now, these models will form the basis or the foundation of your AI application, because you're not going to now look for, you know, all the, how do you call it? You're not going to look for all the data to build your AI model to ground it, right? So this is provided for you. Then there's a complete tool chain. Now, how do I mean by that's a complete tool chain? Now, you have access to, collaborative, comprehensive tooling, some from things like Azure AI search, fine tuning. You have a prompt flow to determine how your prompt works. You have an open framework. There's tracing and debugging and evaluations, things that are very important to us as developers. Those tooling have been put in there with the Azure AI Studio. Then there are responsible AI tools and practice. Like I said, Microsoft goes off on the responsible AI principles, and then the Azure AI content safety, like I mentioned, not exposing your data outside in the same way, as well as making sure you're keeping your data much securely and safely for you. And then the enterprise grade production at scale, which means you can deploy AI innovations to Azure's managed infrastructure with even continuous monitoring and governance across all your environments, right? And then there are things like collaborative hubs where you can, so the architecture of it is you have hubs, and then from those hubs you can create a project which are using the underlying infrastructure. I'll explain that later on. So you can collaborate with all these, hubs, and then we have something we call LLM ops, right? Which is large language model operations, which is how you use different large language models in your applications. Then there's monitoring, observation, there's IT governance, there's security, privacy, and all this interesting and cool stuff that you can use. So um with this understanding, what are some of the key overview of the platform. So it allows you, to explore the model color, which I've just explained. So you can browse from Llama, from Meta, GPT-4o. You can explore all these, models and use them as a base for your AI enabled application. Then you can also craft the AI solutions, like I mentioned, your way. Whether you want to use generative tools, whether you want to fine tune, you want to orchestrate the problem, however you want to do, the tools are there for you. Then like I mentioned, it gives you the opportunity to design the application responsibly. So you can confidently say that you are building a responsible AI using technologies and templates provided by Microsoft to make that work much easier for you. And obviously, with this, it's easier and fast to go to market in building and deploying your AI solutions. So let's take a look at. So here, what you're seeing is like the homepage, and you can see on the top there are like common modules that are there. The infusing of the Microsoft AI services. Let's take another view of it. We have, here the model catalog is. You can see all of them. You can select and import and use a lot of them. Um, and then use cases. Let's talk about some quick use cases for this. And maybe I'll just jump straight into sharing some capabilities and stuff with you so that we can actually have a hands-on feel of it. Let me prepare this so that I can share this with you. All right. So in terms of use cases, right? Improving customer services. These are just a few use cases. I'm not exhausting the whole list, right? But these are just a few use cases. Improving customer service experience. And how does that happen? So you can personalize content and reduce wait times by building apps with natural language interface, grounded on your enterprise data. And that's the key thing, grounding on your enterprise data, not just the generic knowledge that GPTs or AIs have. You can also reduce organizational risk, right? And in a sense that you can build and leverage applications with analytics, automation, there's proactivity, identity, all these things are built into it. And obviously improve quality of work. You can create solutions that help your teams connect, collaborate, and improve operational efficiencies and close. Someone was asking me yesterday on the stream that could they put GPT on top of a core banking application. I was like, yeah, definitely you can do that. And you can actually ground or train it with your own data set. So what means is that it's now knowledgeable in your data set and can do a lot of these generative or even interesting, intelligent things that the AI applications can do, and then also enhance productivity and efficiency. I'm going to let me move this here. Where is our AI studio? Let me move it here so that I can jump into. Let's do this. Awesome. So here, solid. So I'm going to share where are we? There we go. So let me know if you can see my screen again. I am now sharing my browser. Can you see that? Just give me a thumbs up. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can see it. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. So let's go to, so here you can go to, it's simple ai.azure.com. I'm going to redo this again. So for the sake of time, I've done a few things, but I'm just going to walk you through what that looks. So ai.azure.com. And this brings you to the Azure AI Studio. So this is the AI Studio. This was the homepage that I was sharing with you. So here you can see I have a recent project, and I mentioned this is what we're doing on my Friday stream. So I'll share the link after the show after the session if you're interested. Just subscribe and join that feed, and you learn in depth on A to Z on this. So here I have my homepage. I can jump to top task tools, like I can get started with Azure. These are like quick starters for you to use. And then down here, you can see some of the models. There's Microsoft Fire, which is a small language model, not a large. It's a small language model, so you can deploy it on edge or small constrained devices. And then you have the OpenAI, so GPT-4, DALI, and the rest. There's Nixla, there are a lot of them, right? We'll go to the model catalog as well. And then here, you can see that, like I mentioned, you can infuse Microsoft AI services, speech, language, vision, content safety. You can do that. And there's a playground for you to um, as well, to do this. Now it's quite simple, right? To create the GPTs. I wouldn't. Let's see if I no. I'll just go through the process and maybe we can play this. Give me a sec here. Let me see if you can. I think we can just do this quick video here. So let me know if you can. Can you hear the audio coming from the video? No, I don't think you hear it. Let me do this. Okay, let me make this a little bigger. And then just want us to quickly go, okay. We'll go through this. All right. Okay, let's do this. Can you hear the sound? Just thumbs up if you can hear the sound.
Nope.
Okay, you can hear the sound.
When we were presenting, did you enable the audio? It usually
Yeah,
has
I realized
this.
I didn't. So
So you
let me
have to
quickly
do it.
stop and share that again and include the sound. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to do this again. Okay.
Welcome to
Can you
Azure
hear it
AI
now? You should
Studio,
hear it.
the place to build and deploy your generative AI apps at scale. Explore out-of-the-box and
Just give me a thumbs
customizable
up if you can hear
APIs.
it.
In the model catalog, access cutting-edge
Awesome.
models from Microsoft, Meta, Mistral, Hugging Face, OpenAI, Cohere, and more. Use model benchmarking to identify the best model for your use case and needs. Customize models with advanced fine-tuning and ground your models on your secure data using retrieval augmented generation. Craft your workflows with flexible orchestration tools. With tracing and debugging, monitor each step of LLM flows, including latency, token usage, and model errors to quickly debug your app. Choose where and how you want to develop with code-first experiences and integrations with GitHub Codespaces, VS Code, LangChain, and Semantic Kernel. Measure and improve app performance with manual and automated evaluations. Azure AI Studio is equipped with built-in configurable content filters, responsible AI tools, and practices. Deploy at scale with continuous monitoring in production. And manage your app with Azure Enterprise Controls for security, privacy, and compliance. No matter what your generative AI application may be, you can build it here. Build with Azure AI Studio.
Awesome. So I believe that you've seen a quick example of, the whole concept of the AI studio, putting on top governance, monitoring, and all that. So still on it, from here, I'm just going to spend the rest of the time trying to build it here and also being cognitive at the time. So on the left side here, we see the model studio where you can see the various modules here. So Pi 3, GPT-4 now it's available. So the current GPT-4 0 or 4.0, you can actually use it in building your own AI project by just adding it, right? And then you can see there are a lot of them, Meta Llama, all Hugging Face, all, I mean, think about it. A lot of those open source modules that are already in existence, you can use them as the basis to train your model for it to understand, natural, language processing and all those interesting cool stuff, right? And then there's a model benchmark here, which actually tells you how the various model compare to each other, right? So you can see the various here. You can see the different Mullard, all the difference. So you can see, how all of them, the model accuracy, the model coherence, you can see from all the models here, the model groundness. These are graphs to show you, these are benchmarks, right? To show you all the various models. Then you can have a prompt catalog. So the prompt catalog is a place where you have um, a collection of prompts, right? So the collection of the prompts actually help you figure out how you can, create. Now the stuff that you when you create your AIs, you can provide setting f-string template to actually ground it more, to tell it how to respond, the persona for it to have. And these are like prompt samples that predetermine some of the things that you want to create if you're dealing with specific AIs. Then there's Azure OpenAI connection here. When you create a project, you can open it in the playground and test it out to see how it works. There's an assistant playground as well. So the tooling for you to create, the tooling for you to test, the tooling for you to deploy it and fine tune it are all available in the Azure AI Studio. Then there are the other AI services, like I mentioned, speech, language, and the rest. Then so I mentioned that the resource, the way Azure AI Studio is set up, is it's set up in the concept of hubs and then your project and then integrations. Let me see if I can share this with you here. Yes. So let me bring this here and show you the architecture. Now, Microsoft moves at a very fast pace that by the time your slide is ready to show, it's probably made some changes. So here, this is the architecture of how the whole AI Studio works. So it's organized in hubs, right? So you create a hub, and this is where you have your data uploads, your artifacts, your compute, security setup, like governance, everything. Now, out of that, this hub can actually support multiple AI projects. Multiple AI projects. So you can see it's a one-to-many relationship here. So one hub can host multiple projects which can do different things. So each project will have its own like data set, model indexes. If you want to isolate data for it, you can. But the hub is always connected to different services because these are the services that out of it all your other AI service AI projects would leverage. So if you look here, we have one hub. We have the Demystify Tech AI Hub, which already has provisions for AI services, Azure Open AI, storage account, Key Vault. So it spins up all these other Azure infrastructure behind the scenes for you to work. So I have one hub, Demystify Tech Hub, which I use for my show. But if I wanted to create another hub specific for another, project or another setup, I could use this as well. But I'll just go ahead and use this hub. So for sake of time, we don't have to recreate stuff. So if we go into this hub, now within the hub, you can see that we have projects. And as of now, we only have the Demystify Tech demo project, right? This is the project I'm using for the live show, for my Friday show. So here we can go ahead and create a new project. Now, creating a project also includes the process of picking what large language model you want to use as a basis for your AI, right? So for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to go through create a new project for our UG. So to create a project is quite very simple. Sorry guys, let me get my live stream tools. I want to get my Zoom it running so I can zoom into different parts of the page, the application for you, so you can see. Okay. Yeah, I think it's running now. Awesome. Let me check this. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. So now I can literally zoom into places for you to see. Yeah. So and creating a new project is as simple as hitting this new project button, and then we go ahead and fill up stuff. Now, so we'll give it a name, and I'll just call it Accra. Let's say ACC Accra. Let's do net-ug-AI. All right. So this is Accra net-ug.ai, which is I'm creating a project for this stream or for this this series. And that's going to create a project. Now, once the project is created, the next thing will be for me to deploy a module, like a base module, whether I want to use Llama, GPT-4o, DALL-E, whatever I want to use. I would need to deploy that module in the project. And once that is deployed, I can start, playing around and messing around with that. So the project has been created now, right? Now, I don't have a model, right? I don't have a model yet. Even though this project is created, there isn't any model defined for this project. So I need to go ahead and deploy the module. Now, the easiest way to do that is to go down here, to deployment, right? You can go to deployment and either deploy the module in that space, or sometimes a shortcut would be when you try to use the playground to chat with the model. When you click this, it will tell you that you've not deployed the module, so you need to. You see deployment. Okay, so sorry. Yesterday I had a deployment going, but that's not. But if you see, so right now I see that the only deployment I have is 4.0, which is in the hub, right? Which is in the hub. So it's automatically deferring to this. But if I wanted to deploy another module, I will go to deployment down here, and then you see model deployment. So far, GPT-4.0 is what I've deployed in the hub. So the hub is using GPT-4 for any subsequent, but I could go ahead and say I want to create a new deployment, maybe using Llama. So I can say create deployment, and then I'll pick from the list here. So whether it's GPT-4 or GPT-4, DALI, if I want to use Llama, Phi, any of them, I will select it from here. And that will also deploy this model into our hub for use in any application. So let's probably go and deploy. We can say maybe Llama, right? We've already deployed GPT 4.0, so but that's fine. But we can go ahead and say if we want to deploy Llama, it's as simple as just selecting this and then confirming and deploying it, right? But it's just the space and size and money wise, so I just leave this. But so this is how you do the deployment of it. So now if you go to the chat, so this is a base application we've created, base AI, right, which is leveraging GPT-4. Now, as you can see, so at this point, we're saying you are an AI assistant that helps people find information. So assuming we're creating an AI for our user group, that is going to have, let's say, member information, right? Information about members, information about meeting times and stuff like that. And we want to be able to have, and even maybe recordings of sessions like this. We can now add that as add your data, right? And this data could be Excel file, a Word document, a PDF. It could be in a markup, file. You can add that to it. In not, I mean, it's just shaping the data in a form that makes sense, right? Then when we do this, it's now going to be grounded on our user group's data. So if we deploy this app and attach it into our WhatsApp or any other third-party way, our members can go in there and then try to, what was the last virtual meeting about? Then we'll go and pull that data. And so the last virtual meeting we talked about AI, which was presented by Samuel. These are the resources it shared, and you can send the link to them, right? So that is how you can do that based off of this. So to do that, if I say add your data, I can go ahead and say add data now, and I can select the data source. Like you can see, the data can be connected to an existing Azure search, or you can use, a blob storage, a URL, or you can just say upload files, right? And when you say upload files, it's just a matter of going to find the files you want to upload. And let me show you a typical example of yeah. So this is, and I'll share this info with you as well. Let me bring this here so you guys can see. So here, this is an example of data, right? So this is for a quick start sample data, and they have customer information. So let me just show you. This is a markup. This is a markdown file. If you look at the customer information, this is it. It just has a heading, customer information separation. So you see first name John, last name Smith, age, email, and the recent purchases they put it there. This is just one record. You see customer number 10, customer info. So you see this is a markdown. So the data can be anything, right? Now, if you look at, I'm going to try to use the product info. So if you look here, this is a list of all the product info, right? Product info one, this is a product one, this is a categories and the features, technical specification, so this is just a simple markdown document, right? It's just a markdown document. So you can decide to use Word and just structure it in a way that it logically makes sense, right? So let's say product info. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can literally just, let me go here. And let's do, let's see. Okay, so I'm trying to, so if I do this, let's open this and let's go ahead and let me see if I can just put this here so it copies it. But any which ways, let's assuming that I'm going to use let's use product number one, right? Just as an example here. So I go here and I save this in my downloads. Let's say product one.mark, just saving that way, nothing crazy. And then we come back here and I'll just say upload files. And I think it went into my downloads. So that it goes markdown. Just I'll add this. I'll say overwrite if existing. I'll use this if let's say the data I'm providing is how do you call it? Is newer than what was already there, right? So you can do next. Yeah, I mean just auto select now because in this case I don't have now one of the thing is if you are bringing your own data, right? First of all, it needs to index the data to make sure that it's easy for the AI to pick stuff from it. And because I have not added in even I was going to show this in next week, but I've not added it, so that's why there's no search AI search service. But I can just go ahead and create it. Azure makes it very easy. So below here, I can go ahead and say, hey, create a new search, and it's going to go to my connected resource and create an Azure services, which is going to be used to index the data I'm bringing in. So it's easier for the AI service to use it. Let's do this. Yeah, I'm being mindful of time. Actually, you know what? I'll skip adding this, but you just go through the process, selecting your subscription and doing that. So just to save time. So we won't add that. But that is how, if you wanted to add your own data, you click this and then add it. But here, let's just deploy this in its state, right? So here, AI is literally ready to be tested. So I can say, hey, can you tell me a little about the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and share one of his memorable quotes. Okay, let's see if our AI is working. There we go. And as you can see, it's created it. So certainly, as you can see, the response here says what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was prominent Ghanaian politician and revolutionary who played a pivotal role in Ghana's independence. From British colonial rule, he was born, blah, 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 and Crawford Gold Coast. So now this is based on already intelligence or data that it knows, right? Nkrumah was a visionary leader who advocated for Pan-Africanism and sought to unite the continent politically and economically. He was instrumental in founding the Organization of African Unity in 1963. So one of Nkrumah's memorable quotes: "Freedom is not something that one people can bestow on another as a gift. They claim it is as their own, and none can keep it from them." This quote encapsulates his belief in the intrinsic right of all people to self-determination and independence. So, generally, this is as simple as it is to create your own AI. Now, question is, well, after you've created this, what can I do with it? Well, obviously, this AI is ready to be used, right? Now, the easiest way, if you don't want to add any extra grounding, any other stuff, the easiest way for you to go and say, okay, now let's look at the code for it. Now, this creates an endpoint and an API key, which allows you to now pick this AI and infuse it in your application, whether it is C#, .NET, Python, whatever you think about. So here I can call this, and this here is giving you a sample Python code. If you want to do C#, Java, Go, you can select and it gives you code snippet. So I can use this code snippet right now, put in this endpoint, put in this API key, and then I can have a conversation, or I can use this generative AI which we've just deployed. Now, if that is too like I don't want to do a lot of coding and programming, right? This might take a few minutes, but I'll show you how it's done, and then I'll open up for questions. So if you don't want to view the code or write the code yourself, you still want to do low code. The second option here is to use deploy to web app, right? So it's going to deploy this AI. Click deploy to web app here, and I can see here I'm going to create a new app. So I'll call it Accra Net UI. We'll just say Accra UG Net UG dash. Let's just call it UGAI, right? So that is it. Subscription. I have a subscription I'm working in. I'll put it in the resource group. I'll put it in the same resource group, and then the location, obviously, let's just put it in, let's say East US. Pricing plan, I'll go with a standard, we'll just do standard S2. And here, this option here, which says enable chat history. Now, when I check enable chat history, what's going to happen is that it's going to remember all the previous chats, right? For the sake of time and resources, I'm not going to enable that. And then I think, let's see, did I miss something here? Yeah, web apps in care. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Your web app will be configured with Azure. Yes. So one thing is when you deploy your application to Azure, right? By default, it only allows you to use it. So after the app is deployed, you need to go in and change the authentication so that you can allow others to also use it. So let's go ahead. Is there something I'm missing which is causing it? Let's see something. Please wait for the web app to. Oh, okay. So sorry. The reason why this is not showing here is that there's already I was doing a new deployment. Let me show you this. It's deploying right here. So I had a deployment going, which is not done yet. So it's not allowing me to do another deployment, right? So basically that is how easy it is from creating your project, creating your hub, deploying, selecting a model to use, testing it out, and then you can easily start to deploy it into an application. The other thing, if you don't want to use, like I mentioned, if you don't want to use the app as well, you can use these keys. You can easily put this in your something like Postman and then test this out as well. Now, the other option you have is also to use something called prompt flow. Now, what prompt flow allows you to do is that it allows you to modify or tweak the interact. It's just like if you've used the new Copilot Studio, right? Which I'm also doing a series on Sunday. It's almost a similar thing. It allows you to, ground your flow, the flow of your portal, the prompt of your AI very well. Now, if I do this, I'm just going to say, let's call this, let's say Accra Net UG and flow. Let's call it this. So it's going to move away from the playground, clear everything, and create a prompt flow session for me so that I can properly ground, the flow. So let's wait. Okay, so I'm 3 minutes into my 30 minutes. Please indulge me. This is quite an interesting. It's so broad that even if you give me an hour, we'll probably not be able to cover a lot of things, but we'll be able to do the very basic, a lot of these things that I'm doing now. And most of it is also dependent on the Azure timelines. So this is going to the backend to deploy it. Okay. Let's see. Uh-oh, what's happening? Please grant workspace permission access to store storage account. It's blocking it. Okay, because of demo day, something is happening. I'll just go ahead and change this. But hopefully, you can follow me on my YouTube channel. I'm doing a series on this. that goes in depth into more technical or deep dive into this. So you can join me on the channel and see more that we do on Fridays. So with that said, I would end here. At least you've seen how to quickly use the AI Studio. Now, if you want to start with this, you first need to get an Azure subscription. You can get that for free by signing up. You get $100 credit. You can also use the Microsoft Developer M365 Developer Program to gain some kind of access into it. You can also use Dev Essentials to get access into it. And once you have it, you need to request. Now, I talked about I talked about responsible AI. Now, Microsoft doesn't immediately allow you to just go ahead and create AI solutions, right? You need to share with Microsoft that, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm building a solution, and for that matter, this is what I'll be using, and I need access. So Microsoft will need to explicitly grant you access to the resources before you can use it, right? So you cannot just sorry guys, you cannot just get started and then say, go and spin off resources and start using it. Nope, it doesn't work like that. You will need to explicitly request for access. Tell them what your product is about, and they'll give you permission or access to use the AI service. It's just a way to make sure that people are not abusing or misusing the AI services. So with that, I'm going to stop here and give room for our next presenter. But I'm open for questions maybe for the next 5 minutes, and then we can let the next speaker come in. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah, I see a hand is up. Timothy, if the moderators can allow Timothy to ask his question.
Yeah. So thank you for the presentation. Yeah. So Timothy, you can go.
All right, Samuel.
If you are speaking, I can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me? Is it clear now? Hello?
Yeah. I can hear you, but I can hear
you me now? Okay, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
All right. This was a really good presentation. Thank you very much, Samuel. So I think I wrote some questions down. You answered like 70-80% of them, but let me just ask what is remaining.
Sure.
So about the part where you were speaking about using the AI model with our own data set. And let's say, assuming I've documented something on probably OneNote or probably on the wiki on Azure DevOps, is it possible for me to take the data set from that and then put it in the chat section of AI Azure, integrate with it so that it can also use that as my data set? And
yes, you can.
Okay.
No, I'll answer both.
All right. And secondly, what's the possibility of integrating this with Slack? Assuming I'm collaborating with a team and probably I may want them to self-onboard themselves. I don't need them to be asking me questions. I want to use probably a bot for them that's connected to the Azure AI Studio so that they can ask questions and then the AI gives them answers so that we can be more efficient. What's the possibility with that? So those are my two questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Timothy, for that question. Yes, so the first answer to your first question is yes, you can. If you can still see my screen, right? If you go to data, right, on the side here, and you can see connect, create, or manage your data. If you do add data, I think I shared this in the same way. So the same way, you can go ahead, whether you are connected to a workspace. So these are like workspace artifacts that I can put my stuff in a blob storage and connect to them. Or I can go ahead and either get data with a storage URL, or in your case, if you have it in a different place, just upload a file or folder. So here, I can upload a file, select where it is, upload it here. It will in turn be stored into the storage accounts that are created for your AI, your hub, and then you can use it. Yeah, so the first answer to that is yes, you can add your own data. Now, the second part is yes, you can integrate it with Slack. So that's what I was trying to show with the code. So if you come here to code, hold hopefully it loads quite fast for us. So if you go to code, the code section, right? It's going to actually let's just go to okay. So you can go to that section, copy the endpoint and the API key, right? And then write your own integration. So if you want to integrate with Slack, you can have a simple service that is integrating between your Slack conversations and then your AI that you've created. And then anytime there's a conversation from Slack with those specific commands, it will now route it to your small service you've created using the endpoint and the API key to infer or get the person's response and then generate the response and send it back to Slack. I don't know if that makes sense. Let me.
That makes perfect sense. Thank
Awesome,
you.
awesome. Yeah. So just use the code section of it, and then you can integrate in anything, whether it's Slack, whether it's Teams, or whatever that is. But I mentioned that if you don't want to do all the coding, then simply go and do deploy to web app, and it's going to deploy a whole chat. It's going to deploy a whole AI application into a web app for you, and you can deploy that web app anywhere into your organization, wherever, which is grounded on your data, and then people can have conversation with that AI.
Thank you very much, Samuel.
Sure, you're welcome. Any question? Okay. If there isn't any question, thank you so much for being a good audience. I'll hand it over back to Clifford to introduce the next speaker, and hopefully we're making use of your Saturday morning. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, sir, for a wonderful presentation. So our next speaker is ready to speak to us about how we can also leverage this AI in our .NET ecosystem. So our next speaker, he's a software engineer, and he's a senior .NET software engineer. So he's going to speak to us about AI around .NET. So, Sir Wise, if you can hear me, please, you can go ahead and then you'll do your presentation. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for having me. This is my face. So if you see me anywhere. All right. Give me a sec. Let me just start my slideshow real quick. Slideshow. And play from start. All right. Then I need to share my screen real quick. All right. You can see my screen.
Yes. We can see your screen, right? We can see.
All right. Thank you for having me. I'll be talking about speeding up the mundane parts of .NET development using AI. For some time now, from the onset of AI, a number of our IDEs have also integrated them. And so I would like to take today to show you how you can sort of make some of the things that seem boring in the everyday development a bit faster and a bit fun to work with, taking off the workload from you to focus on the things that actually matter and the things that have immediate impact with your customers. All right, so go to my next. All right, so about me, I'm currently at Haptel as a senior engineer. I do .NET work here with the community. Over the years, I've done a lot of dynamic nav integrations, experience in insurance, payments. And these days, I build tools and templates for other engineers to use. All right, so one of the first things you can be able to do with your one of the first things you can be able to do with your .NET integrated IDE AIs is documentation. Not to talk too much, I'll just stop. I'll just stop presentation. Then show you some code samples on how to achieve that, and then go back to the slides. So I'll quickly launch. If you can still see my screen, I'll quickly launch into my IDE. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes. Can see.
Okay, so here is something small I wrote to kind of rename. You know, sometimes you get this, maybe you download a playlist from YouTube or you get a course from somewhere, wink, wink, you know, that you didn't exactly pay for. And it comes in, the file names are jumbled up and stuff. So I wrote a little thing to kind of get the file names, right, for each section of the video and store it in a file. And then I'll also get all the videos and store it in another section. Then I'll just look through that and then rename the video files, you know, to kind of represent how the original course or the original playlist is on YouTube, so that I can have it ordered in a specific way, numbered nicely. Then I'll move it to, I have a specific location on my hard drive that I store those kind of courses. Then I'll move it to that location and make it very nicely organized so I can reach out to it later. But this is not really documented, right? Using a source generator here, have a function here. This is basically just a procedural application, if you will. So if I want to go ahead and document this, I can just right click and use, what's it called? And use the, the ChatGPT documentation functionality. And for the methods that are present here, it just injected summary, represent the program class. And then on the method itself, so you see it says it extracts a number from a file name using a regex pattern, and the name to extract the number from, right? So basically this method goes through my file names and tries to see how to order them, right? So which one before the other, which one before the other, in order to give me a nicely ordered list. So basically, I have been able to use the AI to write proper documentation for someone who might be inheriting this code. So once that is done, maybe I'm new to all of this and I just joined this team and I don't really know what they are working on, right? I can select and then tell the AI to explain the code for me. So it looks at everything that is going on, and then it presents it in a meaningful way that I can understand. So over here, it says that it reads all the lines of text from a text file specified by text location, and then it filters out any empty or white space only lines from the list of red lines. It considers the remaining lines as valid file names and set up a regex that matches the sequence of digits and certain punctuations at the start of a string. It fetches the MP4 files in a directory specified by video location and sorts them out based on the numbers extracted from their file names. It loops through each MP4 file, uses regex to replace any leading numbers and punctuations in the corresponding valid file name. It parts the index of, so it goes on and on. The point I'm trying to explain is that this can help you even onboard new developers onto your team and help them understand what is going on in a specific piece of code, lessening the amount of time you have to take to do that yourself. All right, great. So real quick, I'll come back to my slide. Well, I don't think I need to, but give me a sec. All right, so given the code you've seen right now, another thing that the AI can do is to help you refactor, right? So let's go into that. you can see that this is not a very organized piece of code. This guy here does something else. This guy also validates the file names. What do we have again? This guy also uses regex to match the beginning numbers and punctuations. And this guy here also loops through the videos, renaming them and reorganizing them. So those are like three distinctive functionalities that could be separated into their own services, right? So in the same vein, I can just come here and ask that it suggests refactorings for what I need to do, right? Okay, so let's see what it comes up with. So if I were to apply this, I can, since everything is highlighted, I can actually apply it. So if I were to apply this, of course, you have to know what you are doing because it is not going to be to give you running code in some cases immediately. So you have to know what you are doing so that you can be able to correct some of these issues when they come up, right? So great. So now let's see, it has ordered some of my things into methods for me. So it calls this method rename files. It calls this read file names, which all segments what I was doing into specific areas that are required. So you see the whole looping and renaming of files have been added to their own specific methods. And then those methods are called when the code is executing. So from what we had earlier, you see text file location. I can then create, I can then create the specific text file location and then pass it into my method. Then I can make the various corrections as required, right? I can make the various corrections as required. I can check here to see what this guy returns and then use that to do my touch-ups. So also here, I'll need to create a variable to give it the video file location to do what it needs to do, right? So let me just revert to what we had initially. So that's it for the refactoring aspect too. Sorry if I'm speeding through this too much, right? But we don't really have so much time. So play from current slide. So apart from refactoring as well, you can also do your specific customizations onto the AI, right? So let me show you something from here. So once I have these going, I can go into very specific scenarios like adding my own prompts, right? So for adding my own prompts, in fact, I have a number of them going already, and I'd like us to look at this. This can't be zoomed enough, but I can go here and copy it, and then we go away from here. So I can go for a new chat. So one of the prompts that I've been using a lot is if I enter an old code base that doesn't really have any logs in there, I want to be able to write logs for that code base, right? So I have a prompt that does that for me. I say refactor to add detail logs to the method within the selection using ilogger of t and using logging best practices, right? So where is my selection? I have a method here. So I've selected the method and I say refactor to add detail logs to using this. So I can hit this to send that to the AI. So it says, here is a potential refactor. And I want you to note something here. You see, it knows the context in which I am. It knows that this is supposed to be, even though this is a top level program, it knows that this is supposed to be a program class, right? And it knows that I have to inject an iLogger of program inside here. Then I can proceed to use the logger in my project. So let's see what it's done here. I can copy this and then use it to replace my method, or I can just use insert snippet at caret. So that's with my method highlighted, can just insert the code directly into my application for me. Right? So we can look at this as it has done here. It has inserted log information. This is red because my program class has not injected it, but this is a console application, so we can overlook that fact for a bit. So here you see that it logs nicely, right? It says starting the number extraction from the file name, specifies the file name, and then it says that no match found in file, right? That's what we are trying to do here, but we didn't specify that in our logs. And over here, it says that failed to pass. But within this side, it says that successfully extracted number from the file name. And so you see that at each branch of the code, it is able to log for you specifically what your intent was that you were trying to carry over, right? I would revert this as well because demo, right? Then we'll move to the next customization that we have. So over here, if I go to add prompts, I have another customization that I would like to show us. It says write, the name of that is write test for this method. And even though most of these AIs can already do that out of the box, right? I have a Copilot here. I think if I do a /test, Copilot can be able to, based off this and the highlighted code I have here, it can be able to generate some tests for me. Let me see if I can get Copilot to do that real quick. The code provided, blah, 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 blah. Right, yeah, right. So let's see what it has done. So essentially, it took the method inside the code base, right? And then it has written a number of tests for it. So it says extract file name returns correct number when file name contains a number. Then over here it says extract file from file name returns 0 when file name does not contain a number. And over here also it says renames files correctly when when valid inputs are provided. And also here it says that rename files skips non-existent files when attempting to rename. And over here too, it says rename file skips files that already exist when attempting to rename. So you see that it's, even though it hasn't written all the test cases, right? It gives you a fair idea of some of the scenarios you can test for. This comes baked in, right? But then you can also, let me go to a new chat here. I'm switching between two tools, so I hope that is not too confusing. I can go here and then write a specific way I need my tests to work, right? So if I'm using some specific coding tools, right, I can be able to customize the AI prompt to test, taking into consideration those specific tools for me. Also, going back here real quick, we see that this is trying to use a certain tool. It says text fixture. So text fixture is most likely NUnit, but I might not be using NUnit in my code base, right? So let's come back to this. Over here, I can specify what I'm using. The prompt I'm using says that generate unit test for all scenarios of the method in the selection. Selection is a variable from the rider AI, so I can use that in my code base. And then I say using X units. So I'm specifying the tool I'm using. Using N substitute, another tool, and using fluent assertions. Then I'll continue to say that the test method names should follow the format. Method should action when condition, right? That is one of the what is it called? The accepted ways to actually write a test in the industry, right? You should be asserting on a specific scenario in your code, in your method or in your system under test. And then also down here it says use assertion scopes when multiple assertions are required. All right, so let me highlight the test that needs the method that needs to be tested, and then I will quickly send this, and let's see what it comes up with. Is my something too small, or you can see?
Well, if you can zoom it a bit, but it's cool. We can see.
Yeah. My apologies. I didn't even realize this quickly. So you can see that the prompt has run. I hope this is more legible. This is
Yes,
this is the answer to the prompt I just used. And if you see here, it's saying it's using what? X units, it's using N substitute, it's using fluent assertions, right? So it says, it names the file for me, it names the class for me, say program test, because of course we have this in program.cs. And then it says fact. So fact is how to represent a unit of test inside X unit, right? And so it does this for me. It says extract number from file name should return number when, well, this is one of the various cases of using an AI, but it hallucinated here a bit because it didn't really know which condition it should test for. And then also it did the same thing here. But we can infer from, what's it called? We can infer from what Copilot did here to see some of the test cases, right? So when it returns a correct number, when the file name does not contain a number, and when the valid inputs are provided, and when attempting to rename are all good scenarios that it could have generated for us. But what I wanted to demonstrate here really is that you can customize which tools you are using, and that will inform the AI on the specific tools to use to generate your test for you. All right. So with that, I would be on standby for any questions that are available if you have any.
Okay. So thank you, sir, for a wonderful presentation. Please, if you have a question, you can go ahead and ask. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's more of like a contribution, maybe question contribution combo.
Yeah.
So now that we have AI, looks like developers, I would say we are becoming more efficient with how we work.
Yeah.
Somebody might term it as lazy, but I don't see it as lazy. I see it as
Exactly.
efficiency because there's always that argument, it's like now you can generate code, you can do, all that, without having to put in much work. But just like you said in your presentation, you need to know what you're doing. I mean, it's not just about just generating the code, but if you don't understand what you've generated, you still have a problem with it. So I have a view that AI, generative AI, and all these intelligent models that allow us to, as developers, to work more efficiently. It's more of making our work, better, and not in a sense making us lazy, because you still need to understand what you are generating. There are certain things that are boilerplate, that you probably have to write. If let's say you don't have methods that are already there doing that, you can just generate them. Let's say you want to send you need a boilerplate to, let's say, send an email or to do some simple, stuff that you always need to write out. That's if you don't have any libraries. You can quickly generate those. And I'm of a view that, engineers now, we need to look beyond the code, because everything that we are building at the end of the day becomes a product. So it's more of the product or the business value that we create with the code. So we are going to get into a point in time where writing of the code is not going to be a problem, because all of these AI will be there to assist us. Our IDs are being very intelligent by even giving us autocomplete, and all that, with all the GitHub Copilot and all these technologies that are emerging. But what we need to sort of do as developers is make sure that whatever we are putting together at the end of the day works and is useful to someone, right? So the generative AI and AI in terms of development, there's a lot that developers can be doing. So I for instance encourage the engineers I work with to always do their research, before they even attempt solving a problem, because I believe from my experience, software development is more of research, right? You are solving a problem. Once you know the solution, or you know how to approach it, then the rest is up to you, whether you're going to generate the code or whatever it is. But you need to learn how to approach your problem solving. Once you are able to do that, all these tools are there to help you. And at the end of the day, you should make sure that whatever you are doing, you think about the business value, because it will get to a time where probably in the future, maybe this AI should be writing code themselves, but you will still need engineering, because it's a human being that needs to produce a business value. So as the world keeps changing, we engineers need to position ourselves in a way that we also, go with the modern trends, right? If at the end of the day, you're able to generate your code, refactor it, let AI generate your tests and all that, at the end of the day, what are you building? Does it work? Is it ethical, right? Because now there's a question of responsible AI. So for me, that's my take on that. It's a nice presentation, and I use AI a lot, generative AI a lot. As I'm saying, someone will see it and say, oh, he's being lazy. But I feel you're rather being efficient and you can quickly solve your problems. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I couldn't have said it much better than myself. Are there any other questions? There's a lot you can do with this, and so I'm available to take as many questions as possible. You can do, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Timothy. Yeah.
Yeah. So this looks to me, with this presentation, looked like you was kind of reinventing the wheel. So I just want to know, when will you want to use this against something like Copilot?
When would I want to use this against something like Copilot?
Yes.
I'm a bit confused by your question, because
it looked like most of the highlighted
the things
code
I was writing the prompts for were
yes,
already
were all
achievable with
customized.
Copilot.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
So in some cases, right, when you ask Copilot to, say, write a test for you, and let's say Copilot doesn't know that you are doing your assertions with Fluent assertions, it will do the normal assertions that comes with either X unit or N unit for you. But maybe your team uses Fluent assertions. So you need to inform it of a context in that case, right? Oh, okay. We use mock instead of N substitute. Or we started using N substitute when the mock issue happened. Then you need to inform it so that it doesn't keep generating your mocking code with mock, but then it uses N substitutes to do that for you, right? So it's just those small cases that will not come by default that you need to give me a sec, that you need to customize your prompts for. So for something like this, for instance, there's a prompt here that I use. What is this? Go to AI actions, add prompt. There's a prompt that I use to convert my app settings to a Docker. What is this? Convert to Docker variables, right? Rewrite selection as Docker environment variables. If you've done this manually before, you know how painful it can be, as compared to selecting this, running this, and just having it happen for you. This is a use case where you cannot have the AI do for you immediately, right? It doesn't come as part of its standard, what's it called, functionalities, right? Or something like generate test data based on the model in selection, so that you can use that to generate some, what's it called, sample code that you can run your code against. There are a lot. Add open telemetry supports to this method. Based on your use case, you see that this prompt is a bit lengthy, you would then be finding like just very specific fine-tuned use cases where applying this customized prompts will help the code you generate work very well. Right. Yeah. So this is why there's room for customization.
Yeah, so thank you, sir, for a wonderful presentation. So I think at this point, there is no question. Okay, so if there is no question, then we can go ahead and then end the meeting. But, we are going to upload this on our YouTube channel. So the link will be sent to everybody. Everyone on the platform, the Meetup platform. If you are here and then you have not joined, please do what and join, so that in case of any update, you may receive over there. So I'll send the link to everybody over there, so you can go to YouTube. Either you want to rewatch, or if you have someone that you want the person to also watch. So thank you guys for joining, making this event wonderful. We we want to see you in the future as we are planning for more events coming up. I think together we can make the community better again. So thank you, everyone. I think we can end the meeting right now. So bye. Yeah, something like that. If someone have something to say too, you can say that one before we just end up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just want to add something small. Like we
yeah.
mentioned, it's something we want to be doing on a monthly basis. So if your friends missed this one, make sure you remind them, go watch the replay, try it. The call to action is go try the things we're sharing with you. We have the WhatsApp group as well. If you're trying something and it's not working, just hit us, let us know. I'm trying this, not working. We can follow it up. Don't just come to the session, it ends and that's it. No, let's continue keeping it up. And I want to see that today we have probably 9 total, but I want to see that in the next session the number keeps increasing and increasing and increasing. With that said, I think that's all from me, Isaiah.
Yeah. So thank you. I think we can end it right now. Okay.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. So we see you again. Bye.
Bye.